Saudi Arabia and China are planning to crumble the economy of the United States. Today, we're diving into the world of global energy and the surprising decisions that Saudi Arabia has made. Get ready to learn about Saudi Arabia's quest to diversify its economy and why it chose to work with China instead of the United States. We'll also explore the reasons why countries are starting to distance themselves from the US. So, if you're curious about the shifting dynamics in the Middle East and the impact of China's growing influence, stick around till the end. Let's jump right in. Picture this: Saudi Arabia, a country known for its abundant oil wealth, decided to venture into the realm of nuclear energy. They had big plans to invest a jaw-dropping $70 billion in nuclear power projects. This move wasn't just about embracing cleaner energy and advanced technology. It turned into a high-stakes game where energy, money, and global influence clashed. And guess what? China entered the picture, surprising everyone, especially the United States. Saudi Arabia made a bold choice that spoke volumes about who they consider to be the reigning global power. And it also shed light on whose influence is waning. Instead of sticking with the US, they cancelled a massive $70 billion deal and turned to China for their nuclear aspirations. This decision raised eyebrows and sparked a flurry of questions. After all, Saudi Arabia's role as a major player in the oil industry gives its every move significant weight. One burning question was about Saudi Arabia's true intentions. Did they want to make a statement about their alliances? While many people believed that Saudi Arabia made the right call, the United States expressed its concerns. They wondered if the nuclear project was solely for peaceful civilian purposes or if there were military implications as well. It's interesting to note that the US had these concerns even before the project had gotten off the ground. Saudi Arabia, however, sought to dispel any doubts and affirmed that their nuclear efforts would be strictly focused on civilian applications. But despite their reassurances, the United States remained skeptical, casting a shadow of doubt over Saudi Arabia's nuclear ambitions. This skepticism led the US to impose a significant condition on Saudi Arabia, a commitment to refrain from enriching uranium on its own soil. This condition, rooted in the principles of non-proliferation, highlighted the extent of the United States' concerns. But it made people wonder why the US was so worried. It became clear that there was more to the story than meets the eye. The United States wasn't entirely opposed to Saudi Arabia's nuclear power goals, but they wanted to ensure that everything stayed within safe boundaries. The United States has found itself in a tricky situation, trying to balance its alliances and broker an agreement between Saudi Arabia and its ally, Israel. You see, Israel has some serious concerns about Saudi Arabia's nuclear plants. They worry that it could lead to more countries in the Middle East getting their hands on nuclear weapons, making an already volatile region even more dangerous. So, the United States is trying to keep everyone happy, but it's no easy task. Now here's where things get interesting. The United States made some demands, and they all seem to be linked to China's interests. One of these demands was that Saudi Arabia should only trade its oil with China using US dollars, which would limit the use of the Chinese yuan for transactions. This demand might sound a bit strange, especially if you know about China's plans to reduce its reliance on the US dollar. China has been working on this with several countries, and the US probably thought that by giving it a political name, they could make Saudi Arabia stick to using dollars. But here's the thing. Saudi Arabia was actually one of the first countries to support China's de-dollarization plan. So, this demand from the US might have seemed a bit absurd to both China and Saudi Arabia. But let's get back to the main question. Why did Saudi Arabia choose to work with China and reject the US? Well, it turns out that Saudi Arabia has been looking to reduce its dependence on the United States for a while now. They have this plan called Vision 2030, which is all about diversifying their economy and moving away from relying solely on oil. Nuclear energy seemed like a promising option for them. It's not just about clean energy, but also about finding an economically viable alternative to oil. And by exploring partnerships with countries like China, France, South Korea, and Russia, Saudi Arabia is strategically distancing itself from relying too much on the United States. The US is worried about China's role in Saudi Arabia's nuclear energy plans. China has become a major player in Saudi Arabia's aspirations for nuclear energy. But it's not just about energy. China has also been making big economic moves in Saudi Arabia, like investing in projects such as the Red Sea New City and building a huge solar power plant. This close alliance between China and Saudi Arabia has allowed Saudi Arabia to diversify its partnerships on the global stage. It's moving closer to Eastern nations while still maintaining ties with the United States, but not relying on it exclusively. This strategic shift has given Saudi Arabia more negotiating power and global influence. Now, this shift away from the United States and towards China has raised some concerns in Washington. The US is not happy about it, mainly because it poses competition to its own nuclear power business. So, US media has been trying to paint the China-Saudi Arabia partnership in a negative light, portraying China as a threat and trying to hinder its development and cooperation in the Middle East. But here's the thing. China and Saudi Arabia's collaboration in civilian nuclear energy aligns with international obligations for non-proliferation. It also supports energy security and environmental goals in the Middle East and globally. On top of that, Saudi Arabia's recent involvement in the BRICS alliance, which includes Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, indicates a new phase in its global influence. The BRICS alliance has been catching attention due to its strong market, economic power, and global impact. And with Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates joining this alliance, it could potentially reshape the global economic and political landscape. So, there you have it. The United States is facing some challenges in the world of geopolitics, and Saudi Arabia is making its own moves to reduce its dependence on the US by exploring new partnerships, including with China. Stay tuned to our channel for more intriguing stories about China's development, power, and influence in the world. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.